Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my channel. So, we are studying the dynamics of intimacy. We'll come to the second Devgana Nakshatra, which is the Mrigashira Nakshatra. So, Taurus has now come to the first house. This is the first two padas of Mrigashira. The next two in Gemini, we shall cover that later. So, in Taurus, the lady's moon is in Mrigashira Nakshatra within Taurus, and the man's moon is in Pushya Nakshatra in Cancer, the third place. I've already laid down all the rules, so we should not bother going back to it over and again. But before that, just some personal notes and personal experiences in relationships and with intimacy. Intimacy is not a given. Intimacy has to be desired, has to be rooted in practical knowledge. This is why we should be teaching Jyotish to young teenagers rather than running around with bodies or body count like they say. What a load of rubbish. We should be educating young people, okay, what their nakshatra is, how they see intimacy itself. We should be seeing that, and we should be working more with them. Proper knowledge is essential. Now, another point I wanted to make briefly before we get into the details of this is the mainstream, and this is very deep, and I want you to think about this. The mainstream propagates passion and physical copulation characteristics, isn't it? So, what does that mean? They think about Mars. In terms of astrology, it's all about Mars. It's all about heat. It's all about passion. It's all about muscle. It's all about body count. It's all about display. It's all about just copulation and getting it over with. So the entire movie industry, the entire porn industry is centered around this. They are encouraging your Mars as selling Mars as a form of intimacy. It is not. This is the reason why I'm not considering Mars as a planet or as a karaka of anything to do with intimacy part. Intimacy is Venus, Moon, and Mercury. It is your intellectual communication. I've covered this already in my playlist if you want to go through the entire playlist. Psychologically speaking, Mercury is the earth element. It is your skin. It is your touch. It is your sensate organ. The largest organ in the body is the skin. So it has to do with hugging. It has to do with the kind of touch. Venus has to do with your sense of aesthetics. It has to do with your value system. Moon has to do with your emotion, isn't it? So these are the aspects of intimacy which is spoken very less of in the mainstream, in the movies, in the media. We tend to think of intimacy in terms of Mars. You should never do that. Never, ever, ever do that. That's the last step. And we won't get into that because these three parts we need to explore more. In a relationship, there is something in intimacy which is far beyond Mars and the passionate drive. It is more to do with your other senses. It is more to do with your intellectual propensity, with your emotional body, with your physical body, kinesthetics. Kinesthetics beyond copulation, if I might put it very bluntly there. Okay. Please remember this, go through the entire playlist. If you are a serious proponent of relationships, if you're counseling in relationships, you need to really evaluate this in a different language. Or we are talking about, in this case, language of Jyotish. Okay, that being said. So, moon of the lady in Mrigashira, not necessarily the first house, okay, go through the rules. And man in Pushya Nakshatra, what does that relationship dynamic provide us? Let us just see it. So, Mrigashira in Taurus and Pushya in Cancer, this moon match provides us what? Mrigashira in Taurus brings to the table a search. Mrigashira is constantly searching, hunting. Go through the entire Nakshatra playlist if you're not sure of what I'm speaking about. If this is all Greek and Latin to you, you need to go through the playlist. Entire 27 nakshatras of Vedic astrology are covered in my channel. Probably one of the most descriptive, most extensive on YouTube. I might say proudly. So Mrigashira brings search, sensory curiosity, mental wandering. It's a wandering deer in the forest. Conversational bonding because it's in Gemini. Aesthetic awareness, desire to explore with safety, and adaptability with comfort. Okay, this Mrigashira is in Taurus, sorry, Gemini, we are still to come. So it is thinking about resources. Taurus is about resources. Taurus is about value system, second house. Pushya Nakshatra, on the other hand, right, the man's moon in this case, emotional containment, nourishment, stability, these are the keywords he brings to the table. Loyalty, responsibility, caregiving, slow to trust, long term orientation. It's a Saturn ruled nakshatra. Secondly, the core emotional weave. I'm laying it down in terms of core values that each moon brings to the table. And of course, you can keep on exploring that. So the core weave becomes search plus shelter, shelter being Cancer, search being Mrigashira. Curiosity with care. Curiosity is Mrigashira, care is Pushya. Why? Because it's in Cancer. Pushya is a nourishing nakshatra. Movement within safety. Safety is provided by Cancer, movement is provided by Mrigashira. It's constantly searching and hunting nakshatra. Questions answered by consistency. Consistency is the root of any planet placed in Pushya Nakshatra, especially if you have Mercury, Moon, or Venus placed in Pushya. It's good. Exploration held by emotional structure. Mrigashira seeks stimulation, ideas, novelty, but Taurus adds the need for comfort and reliability. Pushya offers emotional food, rhythm, protection, reinforced by Cancer's instinct to hold, preserve, and sustain. It's a motherly energy, Cancer. Attraction pattern, therefore, would become of mental chemistry, emotional reassurance, sensor compatibility, sensory level. So Mercury here would be more crucial, I think. If your Mercury is in Pushya and or Moon or both, you require a very physical level. It's just like hugging and kissing kind of thing. Slow burn intimacy. This is not a fast approach. Everything is exploratory in nature on both sides. This is not explosive passion, not an overnight thing, not a one night stand, but a deepening attachment. The power balance here becomes Mrigashira asks, probes, and explores. Pushya, on the other hand, contains, feeds, and stabilizes. See the dynamic. You have to understand this intimacy dynamics first. The risky thing is restlessness versus caution. Mrigashira is too restless, Cancer is too cautious. Curiosity versus conservatism. Guess who's what? Curiosity is Mrigashira, Pushya is conservative. Freedom testing versus emotional duty. The duty part comes from the Saturn ruled nakshatras. In this case, being Pushya, the second one being Anuradha, the last one being Uttar Bhadrapada. Strength keywords here being emotional safety, trust building, shared routines, intellectual and emotional nourishment. This is what will strengthen it. Now, the psychological tone of this. It requires a calm nervous system. It requires predictable intimacy. It requires secure attachment style. Cancer wants security above all things. It is too open. It's an emotional body. Just saying, if more planets or points are in your Cancer sign, be very, very careful of your emotional body. Everything is absorbed into your emotional body. So it might even create physical havoc, might create anxiety and panic, so to speak. Healing through consistency, which says you can roam and I'll be here. The being here is the dominant part of Cancer. Cancer requires emotional security of all kinds. If it does not have emotional security, Cancer won't thrive. Also, you got to remember this dynamics plays individually between each nakshatras, and I shall cover all 27 of them so that you have a fair idea of the diversity of how it plays out. It is very diverse, it is extremely rich. It is not just psychological blathering. Vedic astrology is highly mathematical, highly precise in nature. If you're not getting some part of this, you need to study more. That's all there is to it. Maybe just not with this channel, maybe with other channels. Okay? So I will wrap this up and I will see you in the next nakshatra. Meanwhile, take care, be safe.